Welcome back! It's so nice to see you again, and today I decided to do a nice countryside painting. Probably the winter is coming out in the woods and there is a very nice house in here, some big trees. I want to paint some nice soft grass today, and I really hope you enjoy today's project. So I have my plain stretch canvas here. This is an 18 by 24, but you can use whatever size you want. And I have covered it with a thin, even coat of liquid white, so we are ready to paint. And let's start today with a small amount, very small amount of Prussian blue. Very small amount, and a little touch of Van Dyke brown. I want to have a blue-grayish color today in the sky. And let's go up here. I don't want much paint today. Just using your crisscross strokes. A little bit more paint. Just Van Dyke brown and Prussian blue. Much better. And as you can see, the color is mixing with the liquid white, and it's getting lighter and lighter as we go downward. Just throwing a nice grey sky today is something different. Okay. Now very gently go above that. Remove any brush strokes, and we're ready to carry on. Let's have some nice clouds today. I'm gonna go into some straight titanium white with my 1-inch brush, loaded full of paint. Let's make some fluffy clouds. We load the brush the same way we do when we're painting bushes, just by pulling it through the paint and using the rounded corner up. Let's come up here. Some nice fluffy clouds today. Always keep moving. And now let's take a clean, dry 2-inch brush and blend all that. Only blend the bottom of those. Lift it up, making big circular strokes. And very gently go above that. And you can have as many or as few clouds as you want. Let's have another one. Let's say that we have one in here. A little bit more paint. Just using the corner of the 1-inch brush. Blend the bottom. And this is the best way to practice your clouds. Just go above that. Okay. Now let's decide about some background trees. Let's mix up a color. I'm gonna take my palette knife and let's take some white, a little bit of phthalo blue, and a little bit of Van Dyke brown. We want these faraway trees, so we're actually looking for something that's quite like the sky. This is far away. Alright, we do not need much paint. And let's take... we're gonna use the same brush. We're gonna take and tap the top of this brush, just the corner, just tap in some paint. And let's go back in here and just have some faraway trees. just use the corner of the twins brush. These are far, far away. And you can also use the round brush for that. Maybe a little bit more blue. And we can add layer after layer of nice bushes and trees back in here in the forest. A little bit more here. Okay, let's add another nice tree back in here. And you know, I want to push this even further back, so I'm gonna let the bottom of this top firmly. And as you can see, you can have lots and lots of leaves back in the distance, and we do not need much detail yet. We're gonna put another layer. Now lift this upwards. Remove the top marks, and we're back in business. Now let's darken it up a little bit. Take some phthalo blue, some Van Dyke brown, and a little bit of white. I'm gonna brush mix them. A little bit more blue. Okay, so let's come in here and let's have some nice big trees. You decide the shape, the colors. You can do anything that you want in here. And always remember to use the corner of the twins brush. Maybe there's a small tree in here. I can see it. Let's have some nice bushes in here. And play through the colors a little bit. There is a lot of different shadows and lights going on here. So as you can see, I can have different variations of color. Okay. A little bit more paint here and there. And I'm trying to save this misty area back there. This is our separator. Okay. Fill this in. And remember to vary the height. Maybe this one comes a little bit higher. Just fill this in nicely. And do not worry if you get some of these top marks down here, because we're gonna have a nice piece of land later on. Maybe there is a nice tree in here. Comes right in front of the others. This will add a little bit of interest. Okay, let's take a liner brush. I want some tree trunks in here. Go into some paint thinner with my liner brush and into some dark sienna. A little bit more paint thinner. We want this paint as thin as possible. As you can see, it flows right down the palette. Twist the brush and you get a very nice sharp point. So let's come in here and have some nice tree trunks. Always remember to shake your hand when you're doing that, so you get a nice tree trunk with character and not just a plain straight one. You can have here and there some nice tree trunks. Just vary the shape. Maybe there is a bare one here. And this adds interest to the painting. Maybe this one too. Okay. let's come now and paint some highlights. We do not want a lot of detail yet, so I'm gonna take the same brush that I used earlier and go into some cadmium yellow and some sap green maybe, but not much, and not much paint, just enough to give us a little interest. Some not very distinct highlights. Just tap the brush into the paint and let's go up here and by barely touching add some nice highlights. Not a lot of paint, and if you have trouble making that paint stick, add a little amount of paint thinner or liquid white, liquid clear. Always using the corner of the brush. Let's show that again. You have your paint here and you just tap the top corner of the brush. There you go. And remember to go slightly above the dark, because on top you have more light going on than the bottom of the tree. And as you can see here, we have the separation, so we now know where the front tree is compared to the ones in the back. Okay, let's have some nice bushes in front of these. Not very distinct though. Always remember to leave dark areas in between. That way we add interest to our painting. There we go. Just tap in some color, not lots of detail. Okay. Now, let's scratch some nice sticks and twigs back here. Separate those bushes. Now I want to bring some land in here. Let's clean this palette a little bit. And I'm gonna go into some dark sienna, some Van Dyke brown. Just brush mix them. Just tap some color. And let's go in here and decide the lay of the land. And we're gonna come back and highlight all that later. Just very gentle tap some land here. And this is a very nice way of practicing your strokes. I will have nothing but liquid white underneath. And always remember that we want that lighter than the one on the front that we're gonna continue building. I like the light. I like the lay of the land in this one. Just up. And you know, for such areas the black gesso works very nice. If you wanted in the start, you could cover the whole area in here with black gesso, allow it to dry completely, and then on top use a very nice transparent color as a medium, or just the slightest amount of liquid clear if you have trouble making the paint stick, or if you cannot blend the color on the canvas. But right now I just wanted to have some, you know, variations of color, variations of shapes. You can see how the land is coming in here. And as we move forward, we want more brown than sienna. And you can also add some blue if you want, some sub green maybe. Can you see a difference? Just fill this in. And we're gonna come back and highlight it. Make some very nice grassy areas. and this gives us a very nice background to work with. I'm gonna add some black to that. Always using the same colors, the same brush. We actually vary the colors, but you know what I mean. And let's bring all that together. Just tap. Okay. Now then, let's take the same brush and go into some cadmium yellow. We're gonna use that for our grass. Let's thin it down a little bit, very, very small amount. Paint thinner, very small amount. Because the thin paint sticks to the thick paint. Some more soft green, a little bit more, and you just push the paint on the edge of the bristles, making a very nice roll in here. And this is actually loaded in the brush too. So let's come here, and as you can see, just by tapping, now tap very, very gently, we're gonna paint some nice grassy areas. Always remember to load the brush as necessary. And there are not a lot of things to water right now, just enjoy it. Let yourselves have fun with that. This is an excellent way of practicing your brush strokes, the lay of the land, how to use the brushes, the colors. And remember to leave layers in between. Adding more soft green here. Let's make this a little bit darker. And in here some more paint. Just use the colors that make you happy and make you enjoy all this. That's why I never put on the description of the video the colors I'm using every time, because I don't think it's necessary. It's up to you to use the colors that make you happy. A little bit more grass in here, adding more of the yellows. There we are. And the more you tap, the softer it gets, so if you want softer grass, you can just carry on tapping. It will mix with what's underneath and become very, very soft. But I'm trying to give it a little bit more of a wild character, I'd say. Playing through the colors here. Okay. So I think it's the time now to paint a nice home in here. I just love painting these type of cabins. Okay, so let's decide where we want our cabin to be. Let's come in here, make the front first. Now make this here, and we can just sneak with a small edge here. This is a very nice small cabin. Don't make it enormous because we're still back here. And let's give some more space. Let's have another building in here. Maybe it comes this way. Always work your perspective right. And we're scratching this outside pattern because we want to remove most of this loose paint that's underneath. It's very, very important to make the other layer of paint stick. Okay, let's use some dark sienna for that. Gonna put this out very flat, and we're gonna work with dark sienna today. So let's come in here and make the outside first. I just love this color. So start with the roof. Make it just a little bit like that, work on our perspective. There we go. And there is a little bit of it here, we can fill this in. Now let's go to this one. This is very, very good practice with a palette knife. Fill this in too. We're just blocking in some dark paint, nothing to worry. And if you cannot sneak back here, you can use the small edge of this knife. Fill this in, make it a little bit more straight. And now work on your edges. Fix it like that. And this actually separates the roof of this one with the bottom. And let's go into the inside of the house. Just block this in. I'm using the small edge of the knife because it sneaks in better. Make the separation here. And don't worry if you get some paint in here, because we're gonna cut it later and put in some grass. Bring it all together. Okay, just fill this in nicely, and we have a nice basic shape of the house. Now let's come with some titanium white in here and get some of this dark sienna and some of the yellow ochre, a bit more ochre, and do not over mix. We're gonna paint some of the inside like that and cut off a small roll of paint here. So let's come and caress this very, very gently. As you can see, with just one stroke you can have nice highlights. Remember where your light is coming from and just throw it in. But be very, very gentle with that. As you can see, all the colors are mixing together and you actually do nothing in here. You do not worry about having a wrong shape, a wrong color. I'm gonna take some titanium white, some Van Dyke brown, some phthalo blue, and make a dark color here. Maybe a little bit of midnight black to that. I want to have the shadows. And do not over mix. Get the tiniest roll of paint and sneak here. Can you see the separation? And do the same here too. Be very, very gentle with that. Let it mix with what's underneath. Fix my roof here. And maybe we have a door. Let's have some Van Dyke brown for that. Get some paint on the edge of this knife. And that easily have a door. And tell you, we probably need a window here. I'm gonna take some Prussian blue this time. Give it the feeling of glass and come up here and just do the same thing. Can you see it? It's very, very nice. And also we're gonna need a separation in here. Just scratch it in. And we also need to separate the aspects of this cabin. Gonna take the least little amount of white, very small amount of paint on the knife, and just come in here and just go around our windows, our doors, because that way we separate them, they are more distinct to the eye. And we're gonna do the same with the roof. Very small amount of titanium white in here, and do the same on the other roof here. Go back and fix this. You know, by the time we're using this wet and wet technique, it's very easy to fix whatever you do not like, work on your perspective, and even if you're not satisfied with your cabin, you can just scrape it off and redo it, repaint the grass in the back so it actually becomes one, and then go again in here and do it. Let's have some more of the shadow here. Good. Okay, let's have the cabinectomy now. Work on your perspective. And that easily we're gonna have a very nice house. I want to put a chimney on too. Let's take some bright red with some Van Dyke brown here. Take a small roll of paint on the edge of the knife, and let's sneak in here and have a wee chimney that easily. Winter is coming, so we need to warm up, that's for sure. Fix it out a bit. Okay. And now we will return to our brush with the green on it, the one we paint the garage with. Play through the yellows and the greens. And let's come above that, and as you can see, we just cover it that easily. We are removing the knife marks. Use just the corner of the brush to sneak in the places you're just leaving in here. Okay, let's carry on with putting the grass in. And always remember that if your paint won't stick, just thin it out very little bit. And it's very important to load the brush properly when doing that. We have our paint here and we just push it. So we load the brush properly. Just some nice grass in here. Always remember to load the brush as necessary. You know, I'm leaving this space here open because I have an idea of a big tree, a big leafy tree that I want to do, because it will break the character of this one. You know, I don't want just a plain field here, I want some action too. We concentrated on the cabin, but I want some more aspects to show you. Just tap in some paint. And we're using cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, sub green from time to time. And by the time we have the brown underneath, we have some very nice shadows. And you know, we can leave this here So it looks like they are some flowers because they are closer to us. So that I want to fix this thing in my cabin here a little bit. Just make it look right. Out better. Because I just saw a piece of this roof here that I didn't like. It's very, very important to stand back and look at these. As you can see, there is nothing you can fix here. Whenever you decide, you just do it. Okay. Separate those. And we have a very nice field, but I want something in here to break this, I'd say it's a plain painting, but before that I want to add a path in here. Let's go into some Van Dyke brown with dark sienna. Let's have a little path. People living there definitely need a path to go. So let's start using just the corner of the fan brush, making little moves. Broaden them as you come forward. There we are. And now I decide that I want to have a big road maybe. Let's add more paint, more browns. And let's have a nice road here. Just fill this in. Maybe add a little bit of black to that. Don't be afraid. Just fill this in. There's a nice road coming in here in the countryside. Okay, so let's add some highlights to that. I'm gonna go with the same brush into some titanium white. Just the same brush, and very gently I'll come there and caress the canvas and make this an indication of highlight on this road. I'll tell you that by the time we're closer here, I want to have more paint, more distinct. Go into some white and brown and come up here and just caress this. Let's come in here very gently. We have a very nice road, and you can come back with some of the cabin color and go above that and put up more interest. Just remember to be gentle. Very gently. Play through the colors. Get some interest in here. And we're caressing the canvas very lightly. As you can see, it looks very much like a road. And we're just allowing colors to blend themselves. I'm gonna return to our big brush with the yellows and the greens. And we're gonna bring this together. It's very important to bring your aspects together, same way we did with the cabin earlier. And by secluding the road, we actually work on our perspective. Things will look more right. Just here and there. And you can also sneak with the corner of the brush here and bring this path back here together. As you can see, there's nothing to worry about. And look at all these variations and the layers, and when you stand back you can see the depth. You can see how far away this house is and a little bit more color here. Just up the scene. Some grass is going into this little path that leads to the house. And as you can see, it looks more natural now, it's secluded. It's very important to do. So let's have some fun, as somebody said. I want to have a big leafy tree. I'm gonna go with, let's use this brush. I'm gonna go into some midnight black, some of the browns, some Prussian blue, maybe some crimson too, some sap green, and load the brush full of paint, lots of paint in here. And we always pull in one direction and use the rounded corner up, so let's come up here, let's have a big leafy tree and just throw it in. Be brave. Always remember to load the brush as necessary. Always dark colors, just brush mix them. And it's very important not to let the brush to slide. It takes a lot of practice to do that. I still have that problem. Let's have some little bushes down here too. That's why I left this area here uncovered. More dark color. And fix whatever you don't like. I want more shape here. There we are. And we need something to hold all this. Let's have a tree trunk. I'm gonna go into some midnight black, straight midnight black. And as you can see, we have pulled the paint out, but the piles here are still clean, and you actually haven't wasted a lot of paint here. It's very important to learn not to waste paint. So let's go in here, take some black, and let's have a tree trunk in here. Add more pressure as you go downward. And let's give it some character here. I'm gonna go and highlight that. I'm gonna take my palette knife with just some color, and just by barely touching, make a sort of roundish move. A little bit more. You can use straight white if you want, but I just use the same color we used for the highlight of the house. Just barely grazing the canvas. And you can see the many nice highlights we have in here. It's very nice to mix color on the canvas. And this is the beauty of wet and wet painting. So let's have the highlights now. Let me wash the one brush I did the cloud with. And I'm gonna go into some cadmium yellow, some yellow ochre, some of the sap green, Indian yellow, and just add the least little amount of paint thinner to that. Just play through the colors. And let's go up here and highlight the tree. Always start from the top, just by very gently touching. A little bit more green for me. And always remember to leave dark areas in between each layer of leaves, because this actually adds interest, adds depth, And it's not just a flat tree. Make sure you use the rounded corner up and you're using not much pressure. Let's vary the color on this tree. I like it. Play through your colors. Do not use a lot of pressure for that. And if you have trouble making your paint stick, just add some more paint thinner. And it's also important to remember that in here we want more dark than light because we have lots of shadows. So let's go in here and paint a nice bush. Remember to leave it dark because we have the shadows there. But if you want to make it brighter, just go on and do it. It's your world anyway. You can add liquid white to brighten it up. Some Indian yellow, some yellow ochre, cadmium yellow. And this works as a tool to push everything back. Always remember to add depth to your paintings. Another nice bush here. And we have left some dark in here, so we do not have a flat tree as we said earlier. I'm gonna scratch in here some sticks and twigs. And look how interesting it looks now. You have so many separations, so many layers, and you have used different techniques. It's a very nice painting to do, and I think we should call that finished. I really hope you enjoyed it. It teaches you how to use different aspects. We have that nice house, we have layered the painting as we always do, practice the lay of the land, and you can also add a fence in here. I don't want to do that now because I want the eye to be led directly in the cabin. I want no separations. I want some freedom in here on the plane. So I think we're ready to close this episode. I am very happy for being with you. So until next time, happy painting and take care. I'll see you soon.